Okay. So we started with template driven form, and we saw how to send data and how to even verify, do validation. So we did a basic validation. It's not that top notch or good quality or good way of writing validation, but yeah, we did something where we are showing all these validation messages on span tag or inside span tag, and we used a basic CSS to make these colors in red color. But thing was, when we were doing this, we were not doing any special stuff. Even if when I click on these empty buttons, I mean with empty text fields, still things comes up. Ideally, if we are not giving anything, usually button goes empty, right? I mean empty. The button gets disabled. So that's not happened here. Okay, so that's one case, and apart from it, it's fine. If we are not giving required fields, so button should be disabled, or it should say that you have to passed some data in text fields. Only then I will go further. But it's not taking care, and whenever we click, it goes and checks that thing on state base. So it is going somewhere submit. So it still submits your data. Okay, that's fine. So that's one of the way. Again, we can disable it, but let's do a proper, because as I said, we are going to use reactive forms. Okay, so to restart with reactive forms, let's consider what we will do first or initially. I'll give some steps or stages. So this will take some more coding. So how we start with? First of all, we will create a form. Make a simple HTML form. Okay, right? That we have to do. Next, then we have to import certain modules. Okay, so module and form control. Okay, that we have to do. We have to import this thing because they will provide some basic setup. Then we will connect form controls with form. Okay, that's what we are going to do next. And then after, get values from form. Okay, and if required, we can also show default value in form. Okay, this is what we are going to do in today's class. Okay, let's post it here. Okay, because server is already running. Let's stop the server first. Now again we have login, to do form, TD or template driven form to do, and this stuff is already here. So let's reach out to first of all src, then app, and here I'll generate ng generate component. The first thing is we have to create a simple form. So we will call this um, reactive form or let's just call this R, because I'm going to create two different components, one for basic setup, and in next example we will enhance our example with some validations. Okay, so that we will do, or thinking how to, or we can write a different class. I will comment that out, and we can use the same component for that. Okay, that will be better, you can understand it. So I'm calling it, the component name is reactive form. Okay, so same thing will happen. It will generate 4 files, and one update happens in module file. Same thing, we are done doing this from long time. It's almost like 7th class in Angular, so I hope you have an idea. And by doing this, we will get this reactive form here. Let's take a screenshot. This is how it looks in project directory structure, parallel to all the other things. And in module file, we can see one import there. Okay, there it is. So let me highlight what we just added. Reactive form. component, and that's where we are imported. Okay, that's done. Let's get new form, paint image. Fine. So we have our things ready. Now we can write some code. Let's close extra stuffs for now. So again, we have to focus on two files: the HTML file where we write code and TS file. Okay, and again we have to call this form somewhere so we can see the data of it. So I'm going back to the root HTML file, the component file, and to do that, first of all, I need the selector name. So copied, going back to HTML, and I'll cut this line, paste here. So okay, done. And so if this goes fine, so we should see reactive form works. Okay, let's verify. Reload, and there we go. Reactive forms works. So now we can see only this reactive form. Okay, we are on it. Now we can generate a structure by doing this, and let's create a simple form again. So I start with form tag. So place, or you can do also this way. You can just type form and enter. So this will also work. Okay, so initially when we were doing template driven form, we tend to give IDs. Here we won't give that. Remember hash, then something something, then equals.
Okay.
So we are not supposed to do that. Yeah, it will be much cleaner from whatever we did so far in previous forms. So after form, you have to use one form group. It mentioned that we have to import certain things. So that we have to do. So let's write and see when we get that error, then we'll fix that. So form, and again it's a case sensitive, so type it accordingly. So form group, it's one thing, and here you have to give the name. That what's the thing. So I'm calling it login form. Let's say that's it. And then we don't need this section. We can remove this section, and here we will use that event submit event. So we capture it by ng submit. Again, it is case sensitive, so write it accordingly. And I'll create one function later that will be login user, and done. That's it. So we are giving a form group, and I'm naming it login form. And that's it. Now let's start with the input type. So input type, it's going to be text. Text. Let's place as a placeholder. I'll call this enter name. Done. And here's the important part. I will give one form control. It's not written. Form control name equals, and then you have to mention that what you're looking for. So let's say user, and this goes off. Then I can use those br tags. Okay, you can copy this line. Next will be text again, and or not text, let's use password. So there goes the password, and here I'll say enter password. Okay, done. And the form control name would be password. Okay, this is also done. Great. And again I'll break the line. Br tag, done. And here I will use a simple button like we did earlier, and I will just call it login. That's it. File saved, and definitely we'll get error because it get confused. Right? What is this login user? We don't have this function yet. And plus can't bind form group since it's known property of form. So it is confused. It means Angular server get confused where these things are. You're supposed to give form group, but where is that? So it doesn't knows yet that what is form group here. So we have to import those libraries in again module file, because we are working on root. It's no sub module or child module. We are working right away in the same module, that is app module. So here we have to import those modules. So initially we already have a forms module. We have to import one more module, comma, it's reactive forms module, and that is again coming from this line. dot reactive form component. Again, it's a part of Spring, not Spring, Angular, so it will work. Okay. Now it is talking about what is that login form. Okay, it doesn't exist for this time. That's fine. We still have a lots of thing to do, but yeah, this thing has to be added, that you need to mention that we are importing reactive forms module, and that should be part of imports. So reactive forms module is imported. Okay. Now we need to write some code in TS file. So reactive TS file is here. We have to create certain variables. So what's the name here? What name I give to this form group? It's a component, again, object part. So I need this thing in my TS file. So here things started, and be focused. It's new for you and much complex as per what we saw in template driven. It was straightforward. Give the ID and fetch the ID dot value, and you get everything. Here things will different because we have a fine-grained control over the text fields. So login form, what we gave in that input type, then you have to mention new form group. Okay. Now notice here, parenthesis, curly brace, and give a enter. Okay, what I did, parenthesis and curly braces. Then go inside it, and what was the first variable name? It was user. So what's my form control name? It's user,
Yes.
right? So I'll say user. Okay, now watch closely. Now I'll say equals new form control, and keep it empty like this, parenthesis and empty. Done. Then put a comma and come on, sorry, not equals, it will be colon. Then next is password colon, then new. So syntax are new, so be careful. Form control, again this goes empty. We have a reason why we are giving it empty. Later we'll fix that, but yeah, okay, we don't need semicolon, my bad, and format your code. So we just declared that this is the login form, and it has two fields, user and password, and these are actually form control name. This part is done. Next part is the function we have, login user. I copied that name, going here, and it's a function name, so function, and here we are. And I'll simply do what? I'll console that, console.log, and I'll say login form dot value. Okay, let's see whether build is successful. So yeah, see, things are successful now. It find both that variable login form and the function login user. Okay, looks good. Let's see on web page. So there it is. Let's clear the console. You can use this button to clear the console. This is like Eclipse console. Okay, let's enter some name. Let's say Sam and 12345, my password. Login, and yep, see, values are coming up. Clear? So that's how we work with reactive forms, and we can also give one cool name, at least as a title, so it doesn't look that ugly. So we can use h1 tag, reactive form, Angular. File saved, and there we go. Okay, so what we did for to get this form, and actually fetching is one important part. So I'll start with the imports first, like where things are imported. So you need two things, form modules, which we already imported because of template driven form. So I'll count that as well, and form module already. Okay, so that first screenshot comes from app module. Okay, let's have everything now. This is the first thing we need to do. App.ts. Okay, that's done. And what's the important part here? Why we imported this? Because of two lines, form module and reactive form components, and these are imported here. Okay, fine. This part is done. This is the first step. import these two libraries. I did that later, but usually if you remember when we were even doing Spring Boot, so we tend to add libraries first. At what library? Then we start working. So I forgot, yeah, we have to import libraries first. First step is done. Next, we need to create HTML page. So this can be optional. Either you can start from HTML to TS or from TS to HTML. On TS, you can decide that this is the variable I'm going to create on HTML page, and these are going to my fields, and then you can use them. And this is going to my function. So it's totally up to you whether you want to go start from HTML or from TS file. So I better suggest start with HTML. So you have actually, when you start writing, so you can see the structure as well, how it is coming up. But again, totally up to you. Let's do one thing. Let's move this thing a little bit left side. I hope you will have a space. Okay, this is a reactive form module page. Okay, cool. So this is our second step towards creating a form. Third is getting TS file. So TS file is really simple, nothing special, because we are just dealing with two fields. So I'll suggest if you're practicing, at least have 5 to 6 fields. Then you will get the idea how things are actually working. Not 3, it's here. Okay, that's our third step. And once everything's working, we should see this kind of screen on our web page. Okay, I'll create a new paint for this, and console, let's clear it. Sam 1 2 3 4 5, log in, and here we are printing the things. Okay, this is the console because we are printing it on console. Third image, simple enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it needs practice. Okay, so we are able to print things. Now next part is in our step we also mentioned that we will get a simple form, done. Import module, done. Connect form modules with the form, done. Get values from the form, and default value. Okay, default, I'll say later we'll do that, but we have to do one important part once you have a form. So you have to perform validations as well, right? Because that is important. Without it, there is no point of creating forms unless you are putting or adding validations on your form. It doesn't make any sense why you're going forward without validation. You cannot send everything on your backend. You have to first of all rectify those things at your backend as well. Sorry, front end as well. Okay, so we are talking about reactive form validations. Reactive form. So again, it will be a complex thing. I'll try my best to keep it simple for you. Reactive form validations. It is not that straightforward. A little bit of focus you required here. You have to focus what you're up to. Okay, so we need to perform this validation part. So I guess we need some kind of imports as well in my TS file. Yeah, so okay, let me write the steps, then I'll see if we need to add or remove the steps. So initially we have to import validators. Okay, import validators in TS file. TS means the where we are working on, where we have added, fine, RF for reactive form. Next, apply the validations that we want to do. Typo validations. Third part, we have to define getters for it. Remember getter setters in Java?
Yeah.
So something similar we have to do here as well. So they can fetch the records or data from this. And yeah, the last step. Remember, we have to show the error. Show error. And in last previous example, when we were doing template driven form, we didn't disable that button. Here we will disable it. Disable the that submit or what was that login button. Okay, so I'm giving it names button. Okay, so we are going to do these parts. It's typo validations. Okay, fine, looks good enough for now. Let's set forth. This is our steps. Oops. Uh-oh. Okay, so let's start with that same form. We are not going to create any new component. We can use the same form, but we need to. I don't think. Yeah. We need to actually. We have to do multiple component changes. So let me one thing. I need to create form. Okay. It otherwise it will be a hodgepodge because this right now you can see the form looks really simple. I mean this HTML page. Oh, not this one. This one, right? Just simple enough. Three input types. Not even three. Just two input types and one simple login word. When we add validation, so the code grows bigger and looks ugly. Let's do one thing. We have to create a form, actually the component. Let's call reactive form validations. Validation. Um, okay, I'll name it that way. So cdsrc app. So ng generate component reactive form, and I'll say validations. Okay, that's my component name. So creating it. So one more component goes here with the comments, copy it. So we have this form ready. Then we talk about there it is, the component. So there's the component. Not this way. I need this as well. Okay. And then let me highlight that as well, where things are reactive form validation. Okay. And last part, because it updates the model file where it adds the component. Reactive form validation. Okay. So let's highlight this, and that's our component. Okay, fine. So our form is ready. We just created a form. Again, I'm keep saying form, but you know it's a component. And again, we need to call this component here. So let's close other files, close others, and going to open two required files: the HTML file and TS file. Again, in projects, most of the time you are dealing with these things. If you end up with Angular projects, you're going to work on these two files mostly. I'll say 90% chances on these two files. Let's call that here, then, and cut, paste it. Okay, disabled. Let's run project and serve. Service is up, and if I refresh this, so it goes back to again basic line reactive form validation works. Okay, great. So we are able to run the code. Okay, now we don't need this file. We can close it. This component, close. Let's enter the structure. Now we have this form ready. Form tag. Okay, so again we need the same stuff in square brackets. We have to import that library. Form group. Name it something. So I'll keep it same. Login form. Double quotes here. Then on that submit event, so ng submit, it's not n, and submit, then equals, and I'll call this login user. That was the function name. Okay, so now we have to deep dive into the form. Okay, so first of all you have to create input type. So input type text, then placeholder. Let's enter email. I'm going to change a little bit the form. Okay, so we have some more fields. So email we are going to use, then form form control name equals, and then I'll say user. Come on. Okay, tag closed. So our first field is ready. Next field, um, let's copy. Next field would be starting. Text is fine. For email, I'll say enter username and then enter username. Okay, this is done. And oh, sorry, I forgot. We have to break the line as well. Beer tag, beer tag. Okay, beer tag closed. So we have email, we have username. Let's add one password as well. Same way. So it's not this. Copy it. Password. Here it will be password, and this field would be password. So far, no doubt, right? It's same thing we are doing. Just added one extra for email. So we can add some um, validation as well. So first is for email, second for username, third for password. Done. And once it's done, we can use button. Same button, and it will be login again, and button is closed. Right now, I'm just keeping same what we did. Just added one um, field or one text field or text box. So this part is done. Now we have to use this login form and have to create the same stuff. So login form equals new form group parenthesis curly brace starts oh, and first start with user new form control this single quotes comma then let me just verify before typing. It was user and username and password. Username and new form control mail. Okay, so our form looks fine, that variable actually, and have to create that function login user console dot log and then login form dot value. Okay, let's verify. Okay, so build is successful. Great. Let's have a look on this HTML. It looks great. Cannot find name with password. Why? Oh, it was password. Yeah, it's gone now. Fine. Let's enter records. So abc@gmail.com, then username abc, password is 12345, login. It's working, right? So as of now, this is same what we did earlier. I just added one extra field. Okay, if I reload, empty, and if when I click on login, yep, so coming everything's empty. This is something we saw earlier in template driven form. Now we are going to add validations. So remember in previous example we added some span text just below that text. Something similar I'm going to do add here. So input tab text is fine. Then we have enter email, then form control. Everything's fine here. Just after that, I will add one more BR, and here I'll add that span tag. Okay, so we can see the contents. And here, first thing, I want everything should be in red color. If whatever comes up, it should be a warning or error. So style, oh, not that way. Color red. Okay, this is done. And even here it should say, what is that user? not user. I'll say this. Let me put this field is mandatory. Okay, I added this. Or okay, we can change this message even later. After adding red, I have to put conditions now to validate what it has. So I'll say asterisk ng if oops, capital I, this equals okay, and ng if I'll say first of all the field name is user, then this will validate user dot invalid. Okay, that's feature of Angular invalid. So we can say user and user dot invalid, and definitely if user clicks on that field, we have to verify. So user dot touched. So if user clicks on it, so it verifies the user is on it. Once user goes away without typing anything, it will show this field is mandatory. So let's verify it is happening or not, or either we need to do something else. Yep, definitely something is missing. User is not responding. Okay, so this is just half code. We just verified, or you can say we did some validations on HTML page. So span style, that is color red, and ng if, that's how we write capital I like a camel case, then equals, we are verifying the same user, this user. So user, then ampersand user dot invalid, and if user is touched, and touched means both thing, clicked and goes away without tapping. So this message should pop up. This field is mandatory. So we have written everything in if condition. If it is there, only then the message pops. But again, it won't work by its way. We have to handle something on, or write something on TS side as well. We have to tell the form that hey, something happened, but it doesn't happen the way we want. So as I said that we have to import one library, import validators in TS file, where we have added reactive form. So this is the file reactive form, and here we have to add one library. So we have form control form group. Just after that you can put a comma and type validators, this one, validators. Okay, and done. So we already have form control, form group, now validators, and everything is coming from Angular forms. Okay, after doing this, I told you that these are empty for now. I mean, previous example. Now we can, after those blanks, I can put a comma and type in square brackets. Again, this takes lots of syntax. So be focused what I'm typing. So it says validators dot required. See, we are not using required on HTML page. We are writing required here. After writing required, put a comma, and here I can say validators dot email. So what we just did, we have added one syntax, so it can understand that we are talking about that email, because that user actually a email type, enter email. Okay, we're talking about email here. Okay, but we are getting one error on user. Property user does not exist on type reactive validator component. Why? It's here. What is it picking? Something small is missing here. Touchet. Yep, spelling is correct. Saying here as well. User does not exist. That's odd. We do have, oh, we forgot to create one getter as well. So get user same name whatever the field has, and here you have to write return, my bad, oops, return this dot login form dot get, and then in single quotes write user, put a semicolon, and see, compilation is successful, because as of now that HTML is not able to understand from where this user is coming. So we have to tell from the reactive side that this is the user coming from this side. So by default, reactive form looks for the getter of that particular field. So we have user, so the function name should be user. It's like a getter. What we did in Spring Boot or in Java, this is getter for user field. This is how we write in Angular. Okay, so it looks fine. Going back, and I'm going to just click and go away. Clicks and it says the field is inventory. Okay, fine. Now let me write abc at gmail.com. No message. I mean, no warning. Let me remove this at sign. See, as soon as I change the syntax, it gives you error. As soon as at sign, it is fine. Okay, let me change this thing. Now it is fine. So it's not properly validating it. It's saying without domain, it is verifying it. So if you're doing this way, so it is kind of verifying the Gmail, I mean the, what do you call that, email structure. So some name, then at sign and something something. So it checks that and accordingly verifies that you are using or giving a wrong email ID. So it's at certain extent, not fully, it verifies the your email structure. So I will say not mandatory, but let's change the message. This field is invalid. Invalid is better. Okay, done. So if I click, this goes away, and if I give some random data, again this field is invalid. That's true because it's for email. And if I give proper structure, the error goes away. So yeah, form is working great. Okay, so let's add the same validation for other fields. And do we need this? Let's try if I remove this, how it looks like. Okay, it comes here. Fine, this is also great. Fine, we'll keep it on right side. Okay, now let's add the same functionality on other fields. So starting with valid. Okay, copy it. This is for username, simple username. So it goes like span, style color red is fine. Same way, if it is username, so I'll copy this name, username, if it is invalid, and if it is touched. So I can print the same way. This field is invalid, something like that. Okay, and let's copy the line, going for password as well. The actual validation happens at TS side. Same message. So if we need password this time, so password, uh, password is invalid or password is touched. So this field is invalid, and then BR tag goes away. Fine, this is done, and again we will get errors because now Angular server fails to understand username and password. So even before that, we write in something in the this part. Let's create getter for other fields. So this one is for user name. This is for password. Okay, copy it, paste it. Oops, I should copy it, but okay, that's fine. So we have password already. So error is gone. Great. So these things are done. Now we need to add validation here. So first of all, same way, after these single quotes, put a comma, square brackets, right? Validators dot, first of all, it is required. Yep, it is mandatory to have it. Then put a comma. Here what we are validating, let's say I want to validate the username we are entering. It should be at least 5 character length. If it is less than, so we should give a error. So yes, we can also do that. Like here we force the user that it should be always of email type. So likewise, I can write validators dot minimum length. It should be 5. Yep, only then it goes away. Otherwise, you will get that validation error. Let's do for password here. So it goes like validators dot required, and then put a comma. Next, I want to add some, regex, a simple plain regex. So I'll say validators dot we can use pattern, and in that pattern we can define that what our password needs. So I'll say small a to z, capital A to Z. Then after that, square bracket plus and dollar sign. So we are allowing all these things. We need to wrap this in, I missed one, pattern bracket single quote. Likewise, after square, before after dollar, we can single quote and bracket. Okay, perfect. So our code is ready for TS and for HTML. Okay, going back, let's just click on every single field and see. Email goes, username goes, password goes. Whoop. Yeah, it's working. Nice. Let me give a current email. Okay, so error is gone. Let me give some length. See, 3, 4, 5. As soon as it's 5, it's fine. As soon as you move it, it goes, right? If it is less than, it's fine. So A, B, C, D, whatever, it is working. Field. So I'm writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, it is giving error, not going away. Now I'll give ABCD, A, B, C. So it is allowing only alphabets, small or capital. These are small, no error. Now I'm writing in capital. Caps is lock on and ABC. But as soon as I give 1, 2, 3 or some special characters, error. Okay, so by using this regex, we are telling our password only needs alphabets. So right now I'm giving A, B, C, D, E, 5 characters. And let's click on login. Yep, we are getting all that data. So password is ABCDE, caps on, then user and new email. Okay, it is working great. What else? Let's reload. But still, login button is there, right? It is printing small, I mean, blank details. So we have to restrict that as well. We have to disable it. So that is quite straightforward. Where the button is, we will use one property disabled. Disabled. And equal, and here we have to write that condition. We will say that login form if is invalid. If it is invalid, only then disable the form. Okay, so save the file and see the button is not disabled. We cannot click on it unless you give the correct details. Okay, so let's try clicking, error abc at gmail.com. Oops, .com. Okay, working great. Let's say Thor. Thor cannot work, right? Let's say Marvel. Yep, working. Password 1, 2, 3 something, not working. A, B, C, D, E. Okay, in small letter, it's working. And as soon as I do this, see, the last field, as soon as I give it correct, some random text and button get enabled. And click, here we are. Click, and we can see user is there, password is there, and username is Marvel. Okay, so that's how it works. So to make this thing in a working state, we did certain things. Again, we'll start with the libraries first. So in module, same stuff. You have to make sure that you are providing. This doesn't have that. Scroll a little bit. Okay. So first thing is you have to make sure that you are importing all the libraries part. Copy it. So this is first thing. Have that import in your code. Okay, so reactive and form modules is imported. So that's our first file, first change basically, and it was app dot module dot ts. Okay, next change we did in HTML page. Okay, so let's put in next paint. 6. So the page name is quite big. This is it. That's a second file change. Okay. Next change goes in TS file. So I think I need some more space. Okay, better. Because here we also imported that library. So I need this whole big file. Copy it. Okay. This goes in next paint image. Here we are. That's a seventh image, and the file name is TS file. Something TS file. This was our third file in our change list. Okay, and finally the output. When you are doing great, nothing is wrong in your approach. You're giving all form values, so things will be great. Here we are, and this is how the output looks like. Okay, what if you don't? What if you give some random stuffs? So that's how your page looks like. Again, you can change the message as per your understanding, but yeah, this is how it works. Submit button gets disabled when input types are not correct or are invalid. That logic is written in TS file. Yeah, Kiran, all good? Getting?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So this will take patience. I'm not saying कि just you will get it in one shot. You have to try because syntax are really critical here. If you're not cautious, you will get errors, lots of errors. You cannot proceed further. So thing is, just watch this code, and I will zip this code in, Google Drive. So fetch it from here, check the code, check the syntax, then start working on these fields, forms. So that is for reactive forms. Tomorrow we will start working. I was planning to start HTML, but not now. Let's do some API calling. Okay, so tomorrow we will create APIs and we will use that service layer, and not that uh, full extent, but I'll show you how to call APIs. That's it. Not in a project level, but if you have a project or if you have a service file, so how to call that. So that we will see tomorrow. Okay.